No.
Welcome to another edition of Mark's Inspiration. The Power is Within podcast. We are late tonight. We had a camera problem, so then we had to hook up another camera. And the camera we had a problem with is brand new. Seems like everything works fine. I was just using it today for another podcast I do, The Dragon Ship. And then for some reason, it didn't want to work. But here we are. We're late, but we are here. And tonight we're going to talk about, what are we talking about? Where to find a guy in the sea of simps. It's just so hard to find a masculine man these days. Paulina experiences that in school, and I've heard other men or other women talk about it. There's so many men out there that they're not gay. Nothing wrong with being gay. I get gay clients, great guys. But they're really feminine, and women generally aren't attracted to feminine men. So it becomes a real dilemma. And they say by 2030, less than 50% of the women will be married. So a lot of guys are opting out of marriage, opting out of relationships, and thus opting out of having children. So what to do? Paulina experiences this in school. So we're going to talk about that. But before we begin, hit that like button and subscribe. Participate in the chat, and we will shout you out. Check out my books on Amazon. Coming back home? I forgot. My book, yeah. Coming Back Home, The True Adventure of Mark Daniels, and The Power is Within. You can also find me on Instagram at Mark's Inspiration, on Twitter, Mark's Inspiration, Facebook, Mark Daniels, Mark's Inspiration, and what else? Had a great show last Saturday night. Check that out. Alfie Kingdom and AV Alpha Villains. Check those guys out. Alfie's got books on Amazon. He's written over 30 books. You can find them at Alfie Kingdom Books. So and check out AV Alpha Villains. He does a morning show and an evening show twice every day, 5 days a week. There's some good stuff there for you. Just check him out. We had the links in the last show, so you can find them there. And that's about it. We're gonna get going here. So, Paulina, what is the problem here? We have a bunch of girly guys, or what's the deal?
I feel like the reason we have that is because a lot of the guys that I've ever been with, from my experience, never had
been with. You mean
just talking to, like, in a romantic way, okay, or dating. They don't have a father figure in the home, or nobody really taught them how to be with a girl. So they're very feminine, also known as simps, and they're just kind of wussies. They want me to be their mom, basically.
But don't you have any sympathy for these guys?
Don't get me wrong, I do feel bad for the guys not having a father figure in their home, but then again, there's also, like, things online and, like, that they could watch in order to kind of not be as, how do I say it, feminine as they are. So I wouldn't say they're helpless. They can get help. They can do things to fix themselves if they truly want. Not fix themselves, but fix
be better young men.
Yeah, and they're not helpless. They can find stuff online, especially this podcast. It would probably help a lot of people, especially in my grade. And a lot of people say, like, oh, so you wouldn't be there for your boyfriend if he was having, like, a hard day or something. It's like, I would, don't get me wrong, but I'm not going to sit here and let him bawl his eyes out like a crybaby because he's having, like, financial issues or he's having problems at his job, because that doesn't make me feel any more secure than he does. So I feel like it's not me not wanting to be there for them. It's me not wanting to be their shoulder to cry on because I'm not their mom.
Yeah, contrary to what people believe, nobody really likes to see a grown man cry. And I don't have anything against crying, but there's a time and a place for it. A lot of people get the idea of stoicism or being stoic as that it's you stuff your feelings and you never express or feel your emotions. And that's actually contrary. A stoic can control his emotions. And then when the time is right and the place is right, he expresses those emotions and he feels them, but yet he always controls his emotions. And one of the things I heard Paulina say, and talked about since she's been dating somewhat, is these guys, these young men start out good,
Mhm.
and then the next thing you know, they're threatening to kill himself, or they're crying to her, or sending paragraphs on Instagram,
Mhm.
on Messenger,
Snapchat.
or different things like that. So of course, we didn't have that apparatus back when I was younger, but we didn't have that many. We still got the mic, got the chat up, Frank. Frank, you got the chat up? Yeah. Okay, but we didn't. I guess we didn't have the avenues. We had just as many weak men back then, or simps, or girly boys, or whatever you'd want to call them, but they didn't have the, how do I say, the apparatus to talk to girls like they do now. So they actually had to face them or call them on the phone. So rather than risk the straight out rejection, almost like in person rejection, they just didn't do anything. But now they have the buffer of social media, the buffer of Messenger, the buffer of texting. So they speak out and say things now that they wouldn't have said back in the day, because they actually would have to face the girl, and they did not have the courage to do that. So, how many guys call you? Like, do they? I mean, does anybody ever just call you up and say, like, you have a date tonight, right? Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and what's? Let me
A,
see.
a date thing, kind of. But
Yeah, what
I've
about the
never
guys?
had
And how old are you?
I'm 16.
She's 16 now.
I've never had a guy text me and just ask if I wanted to go somewhere. It's usually like we talk for weeks and then we go and hang out, and
Weeks.
then we don't really have anything to talk about when
Weeks.
we're around each other. But this time it was a couple of days of me and this guy just snapping each other, and he asked if I had wanted to go to the movies with him, and I said sure. And we've never really talked before, but we've gotten to know each other a little bit better, because obviously I don't want to go out with a stranger.
Now, how did you get to know him a little bit better?
We just kind of talked a little bit here and there about
In person.
no, we've talked in person, yes.
Okay.
We because I work with him, and yeah, we talk in person occasionally, and then over Snapchat we talk sometimes too. But it's never like, oh, spill everything about you right now, so we have nothing to talk about. It's just like little things like, oh, what kind of sports do you play? Have you ever played sports? Stuff like that. Something simple, but it's never been like repeated questions asking like, oh, what do you do for fun? Oh, this and this and this. Something you'd ask when you're with them instead of asking over text messages. It's never been like that. Just like little conversations here and there.
Well, it's my view on texting that is only to be used to set up a date. It's not used to get to know somebody, because you're not going to get to know anybody through text. You can hide so much there. You're never really going to know that person until you meet them in person. But I've seen many guys, they have what they call a relationship, but it's actually a text ship, a message ship. Because I've never actually met the girl, and they're all emotionally involved in this girl, emotionally wrapped up in her, and they haven't even met her yet. So until you meet someone in person, and even after you meet them in person, it takes 3 to 6 months of steady dating before you actually get to know them. But I think guys think that well, and I've had women tell me too, well, I want to get to know you first. I said, because I get right at the point of like, if I meet them on a dating app, I'll say, hey, let's go, give me your phone number or WhatsApp or something like that. And once I get them there, then I set up either a cam call so I can see them and get a feel for the personality, or I set up something to go meet them. But if I have to go a long ways to meet them, then I set up kind of a call so I can see them face to face. And even then, it's not the same, because you can't really always feel their energy until you actually meet them. So, what are some of the, and for men, it's like you don't know if you're going to be attracted really until you meet them in person. But I know for a girl, what are some of the signs that if you date a guy, let's say you're going out with this guy tonight, what are some of the signs that would tell you that he's a simp or might become a simp that you guys don't want to do? And
I'm not too sure. I'm trying to think of things.
Or you can't tell when you meet them.
I mean, you can. I guess it's kind of just like body language and how they speak to you in person. I guess that's kind of things, but there's no like specifics that you can tell from until you see how their body language is and how they speak. So I guess if they're like, I'm not too sure how to explain it.
We got some. Frank, I can't see the chat. Can you magnify it? Well, we had it bigger before because we got people in the chat, but I can't read it to respond to it.
Just read it out loud.
Yeah, you can just read it to us.
What's your opinion on men not treating women as their first priority?
Do not ever put a girl as your first priority. That puts so much weight on the girl's shoulders. And then it also feels like they have nothing else that they care about. Okay, if a guy does sports or if he has a job, that should be one of his very many first priorities, and then maybe his parents, and then the girl, or things that are more important. Do not ever put a girl as your first priority, because not only does that put a lot of pressure on the girl, it makes her feel like she has to be, I feel like, in my opinion, it makes me feel like I have to be perfect, because then if I'm not perfect, then it's hard to explain, but do not ever put a girl as your first priority, because it's dumb and very confusing for the girl.
Yeah, she does not want to be pedestalized, contrary to what you might hear in social media or what you see in the movies where the guy just worships her. They can't stand that. They do not want to be the most important thing in your life. Even if they tell you that, even if they tell you that you're not giving them enough attention, you're not spending enough time with them, women will try to change you into the person they think they want you to be. And then when they get you to be that person, they're like, well, it's not you. Change you into the person. It's not you, honey. It's me. I just need. We're having some trouble here. I just need some space. I just have to find myself. Oh, have you used that?
I need to find myself.
Yeah, I'm joking. Yeah, I don't know. It's not you. It's me. I need some space.
Yeah.
What's that mean? Translated.
I feel like
Translate
a lot of
that.
the time when I would say that, it's kind of because I don't want to hurt the guy's feelings, because most of the guys that I've talked to are simps. So I feel like that's a big part of it. Me not wanting to hurt a person's feelings is a big part of it. So I'd say like, oh, I just need to focus on myself, or because you never want to go up to a guy and be like, yeah, you're too nice, because that confuses them so much. Like, that confuses a guy like crazy. Like, when you say, oh, you're too nice, I can't be with you, because then it's like, I thought that's what the guy would think, like, oh, I thought that's what you wanted. That's not true. Girls do not want that. So
Nice guys finish last, and nice guys finish first, or nice girls finish first. With Frank, what are we doing now? Let's get the chat up there. We got it. Okay, are you gonna, okay, good. It's about to drive me crazy running that up and down. We got some short simp clips we got from where we get it from? TikTok. We're gonna play. Now is that gonna mess you up on the chat if you play? Oh, well, it won't matter up there, will it? Okay. Let's play one. It doesn't matter. Any of them. And we're going to see if Paulina has any sympathy for these guys. All right. These are things that you don't want to do with your woman.
I want tacos. What do you want? I want tacos. Tacos.
You want cuddles? Is that what you're saying? Just ask. Like, if you want cuddles, at the end of the
Tacos. What do you want?
I'm cringing. So how does that make you feel, Posh?
It's actually really makes me uncomfortable.
Yeah, icky.
It's an ick, yes. There's a whole bunch of videos like that on the internet of a guy like saying stuff like that to his girlfriend. She catches him on video, and then he said, "I just threw up in my mouth."
Yeah.
But
I get it, man.
But yeah, I don't like that, because it's kind of just like, why are you talking like a baby and why are you acting like a baby? I'm not your mom. I'm not gonna. It's just
Low TRT. Yeah, I think so. You might be right.
I just find it kind of like bleh.
Yeah, and a lot of guys do that because I think as men, I know a lot of women. They say they have daddy issues, and so even if they've grown up in a home where the father was abusive or a drunk or distant, and they hated the way he was, they will seek out men just like their father. even if they say they don't want that or they're never going to do that. And men do the same thing. They'll grow up with a woman they don't like, a woman or mother that they don't feel like love them or whatever, and they will go out and find women like their mother, even if they hated the way she was. Now, you just have to be aware of that. So if you catch yourself doing it, you can correct your, let's say, I want to say distance is not, correct your direction. So you don't end up in the same relationship your father had with your mother if you were fortunate enough to have a father. But these guys, your woman is not going to treat you like your mother, and she certainly doesn't want to. And don't expect your woman to be like your mother. If you were fortunate enough to have a mother who loved you, no one is ever going to love you like your mother did. So you're not going to get motherly love from your woman, nor should you expect it or even demand it or think you're going to get it, because you are her lover, you are her husband, you are her boyfriend, whatever it happens to be. I thought I had the dogs put up.
You do.
Is he in the...
Frank?
Can you take care of that?
Yeah.
I know it's coming through on the mics. Somebody probably came in the back door. I hate these interruptions. Gotta go with the show. The show must go on. So what usually happens when you're going out with guys? I mean, when do they start becoming... I mean, like I can think of a couple of me when I went and they started becoming kind of cringy. What
There's never
brings that on?
There's never a specific time. It's just whenever they start getting too comfortable. Like when a guy gets too comfortable around you, he wants to quote unquote be himself, which he should have been himself from the start, because you're basically misleading a girl in that way if you're not being yourself from the start. But the minute that they get too comfortable, that's when they're like all lovey-dovey and different than how they were at the very beginning of the relationship. That's why no matter what, when you meet a girl, do not try to put a front on of who you are, because that gets you nowhere. Because once she finds out who you really are and realizes you're not the guy that she met, there's a possibility of her not wanting to continue to be with you.
Yeah, and I know that's some advice. People say, oh, you can't just be yourself. Well, the deal is you need to be the man that women want to be with, and you need to be the man that other men admire. So you can be yourself, but just make sure the self that you are is your best self and not some false self, because eventually she's going to find out and discover who you truly are. And if you're putting on front, it's like false advertisement. Mm-hmm. Although when you think about it, girls are false advertising all the time. They got the makeup, they got the hair, they got the clothes and shoes.
Not me, but
no, not you. No, she's pretty plain. I did tell her to put some makeup on tonight.
Just mascara, by the way. I look better without it either way.
But this progresses this simp acting. Mm-hmm. They start, what do they start doing? You said they start being lovey-dovey.
They start being like really lovey-dovey, putting you up on a pedestal, putting you as their first priority, skipping things that are important to just hang out with you, like football practice or their job. They'll skip that just to hang out with you. And a girl's always going to be like, just stay home. You just got to know, like, no, I need to go to work. Like, I need to go to practice. I need to go to work. Do not listen to the girl, because she'll persuade you. And then the minute she persuades you and then like you quit your job or you quit going to practice, you're going to become lazy and she's not going to be attracted to you anymore. So go to practice, go to your job, no matter what your girl says.
Yeah, I can verify that. I've had a couple of my ex-wives would try to get me to stay home. I'm like, I need to go to work. Oh, come on, take off today. It doesn't matter. Yeah, it does matter. But then they want to spend money. So I have to go to work. I'm like, you want to spend money and you don't want me to go to work? That doesn't work out too well.
Yeah. Frank.
What's the deal? We got to play that next video.
All right. Let me just play that next video.
All right. We'll get that comment here after the video.
Guys, watch this. You guys are gonna see how much of a simp Junior is. Hey, baby, puppy, since you're sick, I'm gonna go out with the girls, okay?
No, you gotta stay here. Give me attention.
It's a little bit delayed.
I'll be back, okay?
How am I supposed to make my teas, huh? You stay here in bed with me. Tell the girls bye-bye.
Guys.
Yeah, it's a little delayed, but it's fine.
And there's a good example too. She's publicly humiliating him, and that's something your woman should never do. She should be encouraging you. She should be bragging about you. She should be making you look good. And if you do look bad, she should be covering that up instead of blasting it out there on TikTok.
He said, how does she think women deal with accountability and responsibility? What do you mean?
Well, are you accountable for your own mistakes? I can answer that with her.
Okay. With my dad and my brothers, no, I'm not, but that's because they're all
that's
annoying.
Okay.
A girl always wants to be right, so I'm not gonna sit here and lie. Yeah, no, I suck at taking accountability for my mistakes. If it were to be like cheating or making like a really big mistake, then yes. But if me and my boyfriend at the time get into an argument and I want to be right no matter what, I will not take accountability and I will continue to think I'm right, even if I know I'm wrong. That's different than if I were to go do something really bad, then I would take accountability for it, because lying pretty much gets you nowhere. Lying is probably one of the worst things you can do, especially to a female. It sucks. So if I don't like being put through something, I would never want to put somebody else through that.
Well, a girl's idea of lying is very different from a man's idea of lying.
A lot of the girls that lie kind of make an excuse for it and say something like, "Oh, I wasn't lying, I just didn't tell you," or they'll make something up, but if you find it as lying, then she was lying. If she's like, hypothetically, if I was talking to another guy and I didn't bring it up to the boyfriend that I was with at all, and I go, "Well, I wasn't lying, I just didn't tell you," that is lying. That is lying. That is cheating.
Lying by omission.
It's cheating. Anything that you hide from your partner, I find it cheating, unless it's like a surprise or like hidden for a good reason. But
there you go, a good justification.
Well, like not
what might be a good reason.
not like that. Like I'm saying, say you were gonna propose, that's a good reason to hide something. That's completely different. But if you're lying and talking to somebody, like if you're hiding another guy or something big from the person that you were with, and it's not like a surprise or something special, that is cheating and lying. Hiding something is just as bad as lying.
Now, you guys, though, today, you're talking to a guy and it's like you're going out. I mean, it's different from of course, we didn't have the apparatuses to communicate like you did, but we would date. We would call on the phone to set a date, or we'd meet someone at a party or whatever, and maybe we'd be with them at that party, and then we'd see them at another party, and we would be with them again. But we didn't actually. That was just called. We would call that. We wouldn't even call that dating, really. I never really dated much. I just met girls here and there. But we call what you guys call talking. We would call going steady, because there comes a time and she says, "Oh, what are we?" Or actually, back in the day, the guy would usually ask her to be his girlfriend. But now things have changed, and you really
Hi, Wade.
What's that?
Wade said hi.
Oh, hey, what's up, Wade? Glad you could join us. But nowadays, a man needs to wait for the girl to say something about the relationship before he says anything about us being exclusive.
Yeah, well, a lot of the talking now is basically, I guess you could say, going steady. It's basically dating without the label of dating. You guys are just talking. So during the talking stage, you still have to continue to be loyal to that person. Talking stage is kind of like a test to see how they would be in a relationship.
Just a minute. Frank, your brother is in the other room there? I can hear him through my headphones. Okay.
But talking is kind of a way to feel what the relationship would be like. And the reason why the girl always has to say something is because he doesn't, I guess you could say, doesn't want to be led on. So he could think that they're doing good, but the girl thinks something completely different. So the guy usually waits for the girl to say something, because a lot of the guys that I know are scared of rejection. So that's kind of how it is around here. A lot of guys are scared of rejection, but Yeah, no, talking is basically like a way to see how the relationship will be further on, I guess you could say.
Well, something else you guys have too that we have all this communication. When we would be dating a girl back in my time, which is a long time ago for you guys, I'm sure, you didn't have how would I say this? You didn't. She wasn't talking to a lot of other guys. I mean, if she was talking to someone else on the phone, that was grounds for you're not my girlfriend anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But nowadays, these girls want, oh, I still got my friends. They'll be texting guys all the time. They got a bunch of simps or betas hanging on, just sitting in the wings, waiting for you two to break up.
I feel like, yeah, I feel like that is true. I also just thought of something. You guys always talk about how girls can't just be friends with a guy. Then why would a guy, if I'm with a guy, why would he have a girl best friend? She has the same mindset as if I were to have the same mindset too.
Well, he's not going to have a girl best friend.
Well, that's what I'm saying. A lot of guys are like, well, I can have a girl best friend. You just can't have a guy best friend. If you think a girl and a guy can't,
it's not his best friend.
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It's a double standard. A lot of things now are double standards, and I feel like if a guy doesn't let me have a guy best friend, he shouldn't have a girl best friend because first of all, it's a double standard.
What about a side chick?
That's even worse. But a side chick and a girl best friend are practically the same thing. I get it if
To a
it's
girl, yeah.
I get it if it's like, oh, I've been friends with her since we were little kids. That is different. If you've had a lifelong best friend because of like your parents or something, that's different. Like you guys can stay friends. But if me and you start dating and then all of a sudden you have this girl best friend, it is the same thing as a side chick in a girl's eyes. Because that girl is sitting there.
Emotional bond.
That girl is sitting there waiting for you two to break up so she can be with you. Same as a guy sitting here waiting for you two to break up so he can be with you.
Well, now there's a difference there because that part about the girl being the best friend, that's an emotional bond. I'm losing my train of thought. That's an emotional bond. But with a guy, he's not as worried about the emotional bond as much as if a girl went out and slept with another guy. It's like there's I heard this story. This guy was married and he went out on one weekend and he was with this girl. He got drunk, comes home and says, I'm sorry, honey, I got drunk. I slept with this girl. It was just a one night thing, didn't mean anything. Okay, and then another guy goes out and he gets drunk and he spends all night talking to this girl. He comes home and tells his wife, look, I was out, I got drunk. I had a wonderful night talking to this girl all night, but I didn't have sex with her. And the wife is really upset about that because she's more concerned. The physical act wasn't as important to her as the emotional was to the other woman.
Yeah.
So it's different. We men and women are attracted differently. We love differently. We think of things differently.
Yeah, I agree. We talked about this last time. I feel like both would hurt either way, but the one that would hurt the most is if you had a conversation with the girl for a while. I mean, I was dating this guy for 2 years and he cheated on me with a girl for a month. I considered it cheating because I didn't know about it. He hid it from me. He didn't say a word. I found out on my own, which was worse than if he had just came up and told me. And even after I found out, he continued to lie to me to my face. They never did anything physical, but they would have conversations every single day after school.
As far as you know, they never did anything physical.
That, as far as I know, yes. Which I've thought about that a couple times, and I know that if they did do anything physical, he wouldn't have told me regardless because he was already in deep enough, I guess you could say, trouble with me. So if he did tell me that they did something physical, I wouldn't. He was too scared to say something about it, which I hate. I think guys can't take accountability for anything that they do. Like people that I've been with, they can't take accountability. They are too scared. I'm literally surrounded by a whole bunch of wussies. So no matter who I date, if I catch them in a lie and I have all the proof that I need, they will still continue to sit there and lie to my face.
That's because they want you to like them.
Exactly.
I think men feel the same way about women because women don't want to tell them the truth about something like that either because they're afraid they're going to be labeled as sluts or 304s or something like that.
Yeah, but as far as I know, they didn't do anything physical. But with that in my mind, it hurts me more to think that they had a conversation. They had conversations. It was for a month. He cheated on me for a month.
Now you call that cheating, but you don't even know if they were together physically.
Yeah, no, I don't know if they were together physically, but I
to you,
do.
it's still cheating.
It's still cheating to me because it was hidden, and they had meaningful conversations that I had no idea about. He had known that I disliked the girl and continued to talk to her, and they talked every single day in class too. So, and I didn't know anything about it until I saw her name on his phone one day at school. And then I asked him when he had added her. He told me last week. I asked her. She told me a month ago. And then I told him, I was like, you had her on Snap for a month. And he goes, he looked at me and goes, did I really? And I was like, yeah, you did. He goes, oh, I didn't know that. So I looked at him. I was like, you did know. You guys talked for a month. And then he was like, you're right, I did. And it takes a lot to get a guy to be responsible for the things that he does. You really have to sit there and push until they take accountability.
But I have to wonder if that's not more the modern generation, these young men who are coddled and babied and treated. I mean, they never grow up. They have no rite of passage. They're 17, 18, 19, 20 years old. They're still at home. 25 years old. They're still at home. They've never got in a fight. They've never climbed a tree. They don't, I mean, unless they're playing football or some kind of wrestling or have some contact sport, they don't know what it is to put themselves in a position where they can be hurt and realize they're going to live through it. So when it comes down to telling you something and you're not going to like them, that's going to hurt them. So they lie. They take the easy way out because they don't know what it is to be hurt.
A lot of the time when a guy breaks up with me or cheats on me, his excuse is, it's because you were trying to make me be someone I don't want to be. I was not trying to do anything. I'm not trying to make you be anyone. You just changed. I was with them for the first month and they were a completely different person than who they were when they got comfortable. So I'm not trying to change them. I'm trying to figure out what happened in a way and why they're acting different all of a sudden, because at first they were who I was like, oh my gosh, this is like who I want to be with. They seem perfect. Like everything seems good. And then when they get comfortable, they change. So I'm not sitting here trying to change you into who I want you to be.
You want them to be the guy that you met.
Yeah, I want you to continue to be that way, but you can't be that way because you put on a front with me and now I know who you actually are.
Yeah.
So I'm not trying to change anybody. I'm just curious on what happened and why that person changed. People change, yes, but there's also a difference between someone changing and putting on a front and acting like someone you're not.
So JD Trey says a lot of men don't understand they have to take responsibility for their girl and their family. Well, that brings up a point. Paulina has a date tonight, and tell me what I told you this guy had to do if he wanted to take you out on an official date to the movies.
Come meet you.
Yes.
I wouldn't consider it a date, okay? Me and
that was
him.
Another thing. This is like they're worried that I'm going to think that they're going together, but it's just
we're just going out.
Par for the course. If she's going to be out with a guy, a young man, then I need to know who he is, what he is, and get some kind of an impression of him before I let him go. Can he protect my daughter? Can he take care of her? Is he going to treat her good? And he needs to know that if he doesn't treat her good, there's going to be, accountability, some responsibility. So that's why I meet these guys.
To the movies.
What's that? To the movies.
Go over there, I'll talk.
What?
Anyway, go. Okay, my brother's going to play another clip for you guys to watch. I need to send him a clip, actually.
The love of my life.
I can't see it.
Never gonna lose you. Come on my bath water.
You want me to rub your bath water?
Run and bring the cookies. Make sure there's bubbles in there.
Okay.
The lavender ones, not the purple ones. They give me anxiety. Okay, baby. What's so funny? Stop. The love of my life.
I think you played that already, didn't you?
No, that's a different one.
Oh, okay, we'll run it.
Yeah, he already ran it.
Oh,
Do you want to
yeah?
watch it? Let Dad watch
The
it.
love of my
What?
life.
Did I see it?
Never gonna lose you.
Or have our subscribers seen it? Well, then which one haven't we seen?
Life. Never gonna lose you.
I've never seen
Keep on my bathwater.
You want me to run your bathwater?
And bring the cookies. Make sure there's bubbles in there.
Okay.
The lavender ones, not the purple ones. They give
it.
me
All
anxiety.
right. Yeah.
Okay, baby. What's so funny?
And then he catches her,
Stop. The love of my life.
and then he walks away or runs away. Sim.
Bubbles. But see, why is now? Of course, who knows if that's a setup or if that's really
But that is how guys are, though. Like, I can
they're
confirm
like
that.
that.
A lot of the guys that I've been with,
They do
I've done that too.
Baby talk stuff.
I've done that too. I've caught a guy being a simp, and I went to go record a video of him, and he literally yelled at me and goes, delete that. I don't want anyone seeing that. Delete that. It was like a constant delete it, or I'll break up with you, or delete it, or something like that. They're just so worried about what other people are going to think. But it's like, don't act that type of way then. Like, it's not. And it's always been like a funny thing, like recording them when they're doing that, because that's not who they actually are around everybody else.
And of course, they wouldn't act that way the first week or two they met you, would they?
No,
So,
definitely
and then
not.
that's what happens. Then you wonder why the girl's saying, "It's not you, honey. I just need some space." No, I don't have anybody else. I just think we need to take some time. She needs to take some time to find somebody else.
Frank wants to say something.
So me, when I was in the simp stage, back then,
Yeah, I remember.
yeah, not even I got caught doing something like that.
Oh, you didn't
But
get caught.
I watched him. I watched him do
actually,
it.
hold on. I never actually did that.
It's a lie.
Who wants? Okay, yeah, I'm gonna ask a girl to go get me some cookies and run my bathwater for me. With
You asked.
bubbles in
the
it.
You did
bubbles.
ask
Don't
for
forget the
cookies.
bubbles.
Yeah, with the bubbles.
Okay,
in
he
it.
may not have said that exactly, but he did give off the same energy as that guy did in that video.
At some point, but now
Wow,
I
at
don't
least
do
he's
that
got the
anymore.
guts to admit it. I
Accountability.
think we've all been somewhat simpy in our lives.
Yeah, the simp era.
I can't get the chat back up there, Frank. So, Paulina, let me see to the movies. Yeah, they're going to the movies. Give us your final. Yeah, and they got to go. Frank's my tech man. Somebody's coming to pick him up. She's got to get going. So, tell our subscribers what they can do to avoid being put in the simp category.
First of all, don't act like somebody you're not when you first meet a girl. Be you. Otherwise, she's not interested in the real you if you're putting on a front. Don't act like a baby. Do not talk like a baby. And do not make a girl your first priority. Do not put her on a pedestal. That's it.
Anything else? No? All
No,
right.
that's it.
Okay, well, we're going to wrap it up because these two youngsters got to get going. They have something to do. It's Saturday night. I think you all know how that is. Be sure to check out the video we did last weekend. It was a great show. Come back next weekend at 6 p.m. Central Standard Time. Hopefully, we will have our cameras going better and less interruptions. One more thing I got to say here. What is it? Oh, well, not important, I don't suppose.
Your books.
Oh, I did that the first time. I won't do that again.
Oh, yeah.
But we're sure to have a great show next weekend. We are constantly improving our equipment. We're trying. Seems like the more we improve it, the more problems we have. But we're getting there. Hang with us. And thank you to my 1,653 subscribers. I would not be here if it weren't for you. You're the greatest. Appreciate you joining me. Hit that like button. Take care.